and couldn't figure out how the other two senators who got there the same year as me were doing so much more. And it's because they were in those rooms and making those connections. And I figured that out when I got back. And so that is something that I really strive to do is to continuously build trust with my members, to continuously build that relationship.
Welcome to Smart Women Talking, thoughtful conversations about work, life, leadership, and everything in between. I'm Polly Meyer,
And I'm Barbara Zuliger.
and each week we bring you honest conversations, smart perspective, and ideas that you can actually use. So today, I have the absolute joy of introducing someone very special to me, my own daughter, Senator Julia Coleman. And Julia has been breaking barriers in Minnesota politics. She was the youngest woman ever elected to the Minnesota State Senate, and she did it while she was pregnant and raising children. From navigating the state capitol halls as a new mom to showing what's possible for women who want both leadership and family. Julia's story is truly inspiring, and I am so proud of the trail that she's blazing. And I know that you are going to absolutely love hearing about her journey. So, Julia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. We have been talking about this episode, just waiting for this day to come. So, a question that has been on our mind is that you were elected to the Minnesota State Senate as the youngest woman ever to hold that office while you were pregnant at the time.
Mhm.
So, take us back to that moment. Like, what was actually going through your mind through all of that?
Well, I started off the race pregnant, 9 months pregnant with my first son. I announced I was running, and a week later gave birth to him. 2 weeks later, I'm in high heels giving a speech about economics and healthcare with Adam sleeping in his car seat next to me and campaigned. It was a brutally hard campaign, probably the hardest one I've had because I had an inter party fight. And I campaigned with Adam on my hip for over a year. And I actually ended that campaign pregnant. And 2 weeks later, found out it wasn't one, but two babies that I was having the second go around. And so I remember just getting sworn in thinking, if I can survive starting and ending that brutal campaign pregnant, I can survive doing this. I don't know how yet. I just know that it's something I feel called to do, that I have to do. And so I'm going to do it.
And you had mentioned that you had this unbelievable sense of faith in yourself. So, what are some other ways, or what are some ways that other women who are stepping into visible roles, how can they develop that sense of faith in themselves?
I think that's built like a muscle that you have to keep proving to yourself that you can do things you never thought that you were able to do. And so, for example, small steps. Taking 23 sometimes credits a semester when I was at the U of M while working 40 hours a week, proving myself I could do that. Running for city council, it's a smaller, easier election, but proving to myself I can do that. Surviving the campaign, proving to myself I can do that. I could survive the sleepless nights and the 18-hour days working a full-time job and campaigning and having a newborn son. It's a muscle you have to build. And the more you prove to yourself that you can literally do anything that you set your mind to, the more you're going to have faith in yourself to accomplish bigger and bigger and bigger things.
That's really exciting to hear the small pieces of steps along the way. That helps a lot of people, I think, have some confidence, which we just did a podcast on as well, to move into those things. Was there a specific moment or time when you thought, yeah, now is my time. I need to run for senator? What helped you make that decision at that point in your life that that's where you wanted to be?
One of the things about running for office is a lot of women think that all 10 things in their life have to be perfect or they're not going to run. And I was actually a part of a program that taught me that the average man just throws his hat in the ring and the average woman has to be asked 7 times to run for office. And so on your first day of this program, they ask you 7 times on your first day. If you will run for office. And so they said, okay, we got it out of the way. You've been asked 7 times. And one of the things you learn is that the timing is never going to be great. And so when I'm 9 months pregnant and my state senator surprises everyone by saying he's not running for reelection, the timing couldn't possibly be worse. But it also, if you really look around to the things that you're not considering, the timing also couldn't be better because the motivation that I had now that I was bringing another person into the world to really roll up my sleeves and have a say in how that world was going to be shaped, that makes the debates till 5 a.m. worth it. That makes having people say some of the worst things I've ever had said to me worth it. It makes the campaign stress worth it. And I'm not sure I would have had that motivation if I had waited till I was an empty nester and had a large 401k to live off of and all of that stuff. So the moment kind of just hit me more than I chose it.
Oh, and you definitely bring coming in at that point, right? You bring a different energy, a different viewpoint to the Senate compared to if you had waited, right? So what was it like in the room? I mean, you walked in, first of all, pregnant, and then with this tiny little person with you. What was the culture and the dynamics like in that room when you walked in?
It was very interesting because we've seen a lot of turnover since I got elected in the Senate, but at the time, there were a lot of people who had been serving together for 10 or more years. So there were all these strong relationships built. There were people who knew the ropes. And so you walk in thinking, oh, someone's going to hold my hand along the way. No, that is not the culture of the Senate. It is ask questions and figure it out. But when you come in, you are brought in into a team, and that's the most helpful part is in order for the team to be successful, everyone in that unit has to be successful. So while we're not holding your hand, telling you what bills to drop, telling you how to message everything perfectly or how to run your office exactly, nobody wants to see each other fail, and it feels more like a family. It has always felt a bit like a good old boys club. There's not a lot of women here, but there are certainly men that have stepped up to the plate to make sure to integrate me into that culture.
You had mentioned in a previous response that people said some of the worst things that you have ever heard said to you.
Mhm.
So you showed up visibly pregnant in a space that was not designed for you. When people would say terrible things to you, that they doubted whether you could manage your role as a senator while pregnant or with twins or with raising a family, quite frankly, those kinds of remarks can chip away at anybody's confidence. So two questions come out of this. How did you move forward without internalizing those remarks? And tell us about some positive ways that people did respond to your situation.
That's a good question. So, when I first started running for office, even just at the city council level, my husband was very, very, we'll say blunt about it. If you're going to be sensitive about what people say about you or to you, find another career. Like, this is not for you. Don't read the comment section. Don't do this if you don't think you can handle it. And I would take every single negative thing said so personally at first. And then I started thinking about what somebody has to have inside of them to feel the need to go out of their way to say something nasty to somebody they've never met or barely know. And I actually started to feel really bad for them. And now, if you follow me on social media, I actually turn it around. And sometimes they'll say something so ridiculous that I'll have kind of a witty response to it. And I kind of just try to make light of it. As far as colleagues that questioned, is she going to be able to do this job? I did not clap back in their face and, how dare you? It was, let me show you. Or I want to reassure you that I've got this. I know I'm going to be on bed rest, but I'm going to show you that I'm still paying attention. I'm still here. I'm still a part of the team and I can do this. And, I'm not a big astrology person, but I sometimes buy into it. I am your daughter. And I am a Sagittarius. If you tell me I can't do something, that is just fuel for me to go do it even harder. So that was kind of my reaction to that. But I will say one of the things that keeps me going the most in this job, to the second part of your question, is the young women who are either in that program training young women now or there are staffers, or they're volunteers, or they're college aged women who say, I want to do this now because I know you can. Tell me how to do it. And will hear me speak up and hear me talk, correct the record to other colleagues sometimes. And they say, wow, they'll text me, I'm so proud of you. I love working with you. Like, thank you so much. And even the thought of retirement, they go, no, 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 we need you here. Like, we absolutely need you here. And so it's such a blend of expectations and observations. And you just got to focus on your whys, your reasons why, and the people that are needing you to be there.
So it sounds, Julia, like you're getting good response from the people you work with. I love the idea that you've got that team that you're working with. That is something I was not really aware of from the outside of the political world, right? When did you feel, and what did it feel like when you felt like you genuinely had earned your place at the table amongst some of these people that have been there for 20 years? What did that feel like, and when did you feel that? Do you feel that?
Yes, my first year, it was COVID, which was a blessing as well because I was on bed rest. So we had the remote voting option. And,
Okay.
I showed that I was going to be there. So every single vote I had to call in, and there was a number of people that would have to call in for, if they have COVID or whatever reason. I was the first one to call in that vote. It didn't matter if it was 2, 3, 4 in the morning, first one to call in the vote every single time because I was paying attention and I was watching, even if I was in the hospital or even after the twins came, if I was feeding them, I was the first one to call in my vote every single time. And then when it came time to be there in person, I remember one senator looking around the room and saying, if Senator Coleman can be here, I expect everyone else to show up too. Worked my Tookish off in that election, came back, and after 2 years, ran to be assistant minority leader and won. And that showed me, okay, my colleagues respect what I have to say. They want me leading the ship. And about a week later, I'm taking our team on one of the biggest issues that we have, leading them on a debate that lasted about 18 hours. I didn't get home till 5:30 in the morning. Didn't know if I wanted coffee or a beer, so I just had both. And, and that was when I knew, okay, they've seen I can do this, and they want my voice in this room. And so that's when I knew.
That's exciting.
What were the unwritten rules? What were the dynamics? What were the things that only come from being in it?
That there's so much more to the job than just writing your bills and debating on the floor and strategizing a way to victory, counting votes. That the relationship building is the most important thing you can do for yourself. And so if you're just going to come and clock in when we gavel in and then go home, you are missing out on one of the most important aspects of that job. Grabbing dinner with people after work, or grabbing lunch, or going to the networking events, that is probably one of the most important parts of that job because of the relationship building and the trust that is absolutely needed. And I, of course, missed out on that my first year, it being COVID and bed rest, and certainly felt like I was on an island and couldn't figure out how the other two senators who got there the same year as me were doing so much more. And it's because they were in those rooms and making those connections. And I figured that out when I got back. And so that is something that I really strive to do, is to continuously build trust with my members, to continuously build that relationship. And now that we're going into a retirement and election year, seeking out those new people to make sure they understand that, and having initial conversations and putting time on their teams as well to show you can trust me. I want a relationship with you and I'm here to help, because that is the best part of this job. That is the best thing you can figure out to do, is build those relationships.
So I'm hearing that to to find yourself in rooms where things actually happen, that often starts with making a commitment to building those relationships outside of work hours. And do you have any suggestions on how to do this when a woman is raising young children while building her career?
Yes, I scheduled time to build those relationships. And so, if, for example, Mondays and Wednesdays, we have committee till 5-ish, and then we usually caucus until 7 or 8-ish. Kids are going to be asleep anyways. So, those are the days I'm going to go make extra time to connect with people. Tuesdays, I'm done at noon. I'm home at noon and I'm doing stuff with the kids. I'm home all day Friday with the kids. And so scheduling those long days to really be there at the Capitol and be present at the Capitol. And then when I'm at home to be present at home is how I guess, justified and didn't feel guilty about taking that extra time to go have fun with people, to go get to know them, to go learn about their families and what made them run for office in the first place, what they hope to accomplish, figure out how you can help. And as far as how to figure out where people are at, I was very pushy. What are you guys doing tonight? Where's everyone going? If you go anywhere, shoot me a text. And so almost like squeezing my way literally sometimes around a table, like, hey, I'm
Oh.
sitting here today. And
Mhm.
putting myself in those rooms.
So a couple of things I just heard you say that I really wanted to expand on a little bit. One is having fun. Having fun. I mean, you're a mom of three very young, adorable little boys, and you're a state senator. Finding time to have that fun and actually asking for it. Those are things that how did that combination help you get to where you are today?
Well, for me, fun is networking. Fun is talking politics over a pint or something like that. And so, even when I was campaigning, if a constituent wanted to meet up and get to know each other, learn about kind of what they hope I'll accomplish, what I want to accomplish, that is fun for me. Like having those conversations,
Mhm.
picking people's brains is fun. If that's not in your wheelhouse, that's going to feel like work. That's going to feel draining. So I suppose for me, it is because that is my definition of fun is doing that. And so that's part of why I just love doing this job is the people aspect. I love talking to people, getting to know them, picking their brains, talking politics 24/7. That is fun for me. So for some, it's probably work, but not on my end.
Hmm. You know, were there women in the political realm before you who helped you find your footing?
Oh, yeah. I'm not exactly sure how I would have done this without them. For example, Senator Michelle Benson had a baby while in office, and kind of told me how to handle it. And when I told her I was having twins, she's the one going, breathe, deep breath. We're going to handle this together, right? Senator Karin Housley, they always assign a more senior member to a freshman. She's been my seatmate for 6 years, and we're in similar districts. And I can't tell you how often I'm calling her about a vote on something or asking for guidance on things. I can't imagine not having had Karin Housley sit next to me the whole time. Senator Julie Rosen, who's retired now, was the first person to look at me in caucus and go, "What do you think? You're not speaking up. What do you think? Why are you being so quiet? Talk,
Wow, I
tell us
love
what's
that.
on your mind." And then furthermore, there's kind of an unspoken rule that until somebody is officially the Republican or Democrat on a ballot, people do not, like other elected officials, are not really supposed to get involved. Wait until they are the official person for your team on the ballot. And when these women of the Senate learned that I was running, they broke that rule. They were helping me organize fundraisers. They were showing up and speaking to voters on my behalf. They were
Love that.
made sure that I was going to be in their club because they knew how important it was that we got more women in, particularly young women, particularly women raising young children. And that voice was just desperately missing. And so they are my support system. It's since retirements, it's dwindled quite a bit. So I have a feeling I'm going to be trying to get more in, and I'll be their support system now. But it gave me the confidence I needed to feel like I could break into this group of people.
That's awesome. It's great to have that kind of support around you. Did you ever feel like you had to choose between being taken seriously as a leader and being seen as a mother? I know a lot of people sometimes feel like they have to work as if they don't have a family and parent as if they don't have a job. Was that a challenge for you? How did you handle both of those things?
The first year that was kind of non-COVID and we were all in person, I think the twins were 8 months old and Adam was 2, and so I had 3 under 3 at that point, and I remember whenever I was at the Capitol, I felt like I should be home, and whenever I was at home, I felt like I should be at the Capitol, and it took me a while to finally put mentally in boundaries with each because with each role, whether it's public service or motherhood, if you let them, they will take 100% of you 24/7 and you will have nothing left to give. And I'm a very big fan of you can't pour from an empty cup. So it certainly took a while for me to let go of the guilt. And I actually worked with a life coach to schedule out my life. She said, your schedule is a reflection of your priorities. Your priorities are telling me you don't care about your sleep, you don't care
Oh,
about your fitness, you don't care about your friends. You don't care about anything other than work and kids. And so, scheduling in, I arranged my work schedule, my meeting schedule. I mean, if you let people, they will take meetings with you from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., Monday through Saturday, to talk about this job. And she said, okay, you're going to move all the lobbyists to this little time slot. They can't make that work. That's their problem. You're going to move your kids to this slot and this slot and this slot, and you're going to get childcare for when you're at work. And you're going to go to the gym this day. I know you want to spend that extra hour with the kids, but you are going to go to the gym this day. And so I no longer feel that I need to be living at the Capitol, and I no longer feel like I need to be the stay-at-home mother who is never leaving her kids. They have had some great experiences with grandparents and caretakers and, even coming to see mom at the Capitol. Sometimes I do blend those roles if I miss them and I've been stuck there all week. So, no, I do not feel guilt. I do not feel like I can't do both. You can do both if you have realistic expectations and are just present where you need to be.
You know, speaking of presence, so your presence at the Capitol, when you were young and pregnant and then you were a mother of three, Julia, that sent a message whether you intended it to or not. And I'm curious, what do you think that message was?
That motherhood does not disqualify you from leadership. And there are women that have come in after me who've had children in office that said, you paved that way. I know I can do it because of you. And there are women that are still working their way up to it. They are interning, they're running for their local school board or something along those routes. And they say, you did it. And now I know I can do it. And that is such a motivating factor for staying in such a brutal job sometimes is who's watching? Who's watching and what are they witnessing? And I would have to say, if I hadn't seen as an intern Senator Benson holding her baby in her office and getting that job done, I don't know if I would have thought I could do it. And so seeing people come before is incredibly important. And that is certainly a reason why I dedicate so hard to both roles, but also not losing my mind and having balance in my life as much as possible.
have you seen things change, like other women who have come after you, conversations that you have been privy to that maybe happened in part because you came before that? What have you seen change for women in the room?
After the election of 2022, a lot more young women got elected, and some of them started having babies. And things that I tolerated because I just thought this is the way it is, and I don't want to complain, and I just want to be a part of this and show I can do it. Was we found out it's no longer working. For example, Senator Verbatim had her 6-month-old baby on the floor. He's sick, and the rule is no children on the floor. And she got marched off the floor with her baby and kicked out, and had to go set her baby down and come back in to vote. I had to bring my sick 3-year-old once, and I just have him hand on the door outside the Senate where public can access. Baby, don't move. Mommy's gotta run in and vote. But I couldn't participate in debate because I had to sit in the hallway with them and come in and out and vote. And seeing another senator go through that, I said, that's enough. This is BS. And so we actually worked to change the rule. And for the first time in the Senate history, children are allowed on the floor with their parents in those kind of emergency situations. Everyone has a childcare hiccup. Everyone has a reason that sometimes kids just have to be there. And unlike a job where I can call out sick, I can't call out sick. No one's allowed to vote for me. No one's allowed to debate for me. I have to be there to do those things. And so we are starting to change that culture to make sure that every mom that comes after us is going to have an easier time not having to pick between the role and the family.
Wow, what an impactful change too, right? Where you're not limited. You know, it's actually making room for reality on the floor now when it comes to children that we have if they're not feeling well. Because as you said, nobody can vote for you, nobody can debate for you. So to actually make space for the reality of motherhood, and I'm curious, what's still broken? Right? Like, what does the room still get wrong for women for young leaders, for mothers in public life?
Well, there used to be a daycare at the Capitol, and actually, I believe it was Governor Ventura who closed it down. And not only was that great for elected officials, but a lot of staff work the long hours alongside of us and have growing families. And I was actually trying to work with Melissa Hortman to open that back up, and that conversation's obviously since been set aside. But that's something I'd like to see. My kids won't go there; I live too far away, but for the staff and the elected officials and even the community members that live around that area, and people that came before me that utilized it said that that was such an asset for working parents in the legislature, whether they're elected or not. Uh, Furthermore, I will say when we have those really long debates, um, there's no breaks. There's no breaks for eating. There's no breaks for resting. There's no breaks for pumping. And so I lost my ability to breastfeed the twins as a result of that. Another senator lost her ability to breastfeed her baby as a result of that because you can barely, like, sometimes you'll run to the restroom really quick and all of a sudden it's ding 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 ding, time to vote, and you have to like speed wash your hands and run back. There's no time to take care of what you need to take care of in order to feed your babies, and that's because the system was designed by men for men. I mean, women couldn't even vote when the state senate was created. And so I think that's something that, should I ever be in a leadership position in the majority, I would like to make sure that, are the mothers here getting time to pump and eat and chug water and all of that? Are we making sure that we're giving people a break?
Wow.
Sounds
Yeah.
like humanity could be has more space there.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. There are women listening right now who are standing outside a room. Maybe it's not the Minnesota State Senate, but maybe they're standing outside the boardroom or the council or even a conversation that they've got something to share and they're hesitating. What would you say to her?
Go in humbly and with grace. Nothing is going to turn a room of people or a place you want to be off more than someone with a chip on their shoulder that has something to prove that you're going to listen to me, you're going to hear me. That's just going to make everyone take a step back. But if you go in humbly with grace, persistence, and a determination to show that you have a spot at that table waiting for you, that's going to work a lot better. So every time someone said, I'm not sure you can handle these 3 committees, that's going to be too much with everything you have going on, I said, I won't miss a single one. Let me show you. Senator, are you going to be able to handle these late night votes? I know you just brought the twins home from the NICU. Yes. And I showed them by being the first one to call in my vote every single time. How are you going to be able to handle it now that we're coming back in person? Let me figure out the childcare situation. Let me show you that I'm going to be here, and not only be here, but be a team member, be present, be leading. So just be graceful, be humble, but do be persistent and do be determined.
Do it anyway, right?
Anyway, yeah.
So I'm going to throw one extra question in here because I'm curious. What's next for you? What is the next room that you would like to walk into that makes you just a little bit afraid?
I know that I'm going to be hopefully staying in the room that is the state senate for the next 4 years. I'm running again. But what scares me a little bit is, what am I going to do next? I don't know if that's going to be a boardroom or being like my mom and being an entrepreneur or maybe higher office. I don't know what room I'm going into next, but I know I'm going to have to grow. I'm going to have to change. I'm going to have to face things that scare me. I'm going to have to develop my skills. I'm going to have to take risks. And, you don't have the opportunity to be brave unless you're a little scared. So I'm going to have to be brave. And I just know whatever is next, I'm going to want to do something epic and something big because that's how I've always been ever since I'm little. It's okay, you achieved that. What's next? What are you going to go do next? I don't know what that is yet, but I do know it's going to be something bigger that is going to have to make me become even more the woman that I want to be. And it's going to force me to put myself into more rooms I've probably a little scared to step into. But like I said in my first answer, developing that faith in yourself is so incredibly important. And I'm going to have to continue building that muscle so that I can get bigger and stronger and, push my way into bigger rooms.
I
Julia,
love
if
that.
I did not know you and this is the first time I met you, I would feel compelled to tell you how deeply inspiring you are. And I'm so
Thank you.
happy. Your mom. They really are.
Thank you. Nothing like a little nepotism to start the day.
But heartfelt,
Yes,
heartfelt.
Yeah,
yes.
it's heartfelt nepotism.
Thank you, Senator Coleman, for spending time with us and our listeners today. I do know that you've inspired a lot of other women, those who are listening to our podcast, those who are watching you, whether you're aware of it or not, and not just young women, but women in general and other people to step out of their comfort zones and jump into that room where things happen, because that's what you've done and you continue to do. And I'm really inspired by hearing your story today. If this conversation resonates with our listeners, and I know that it will, share it with a friend, subscribe, and join us next time for another episode of Smart Women Talking.